He is truly world-class player.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming, him being called up as captain. I think, was it going to be James Ryan? Was it going to be Peter Manny? But once he was named as captain, I thought it made total sense, and being picked as captain can be a simple thing. Pick your best player, someone who leads from the front. And I don't know Dan personally, but you can see there he's a charismatic guy, and I'm sure he'll have no issues getting the guys riled up for the game tomorrow. Yeah,
the Ballygan marketing department are like, geez, getting this kid in was the greatest move of all time. We've had 25 years of publicity of it. So he'll be captain in the front row. It's interesting, Clarkson is getting a start at tight head alongside him. Yeah. And we're going to see Boyle off the bench at loose head, and obviously, Andrew Porter, like Rappam and Cotton Wool, very important. Give us your front row eye on Clarkson at tight head and then Boyle. What do we got here?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant to see. I mean, how long are we talking about if Tyke Furlong's out, we're in so much trouble, and then we had Beelum come in, do a really good job. And I've been watching Clarkson very closely, and he's really, really impressed me. His scrummaging ability, I think, especially this season, he's 24 years of age.
That's young for a scrummager.
It's young, so he's gone from playing 20s, gone into Leinster, and he's able to step up to this international level. And at tight head, you're anchoring that scrum. There's a lot of pressure, and certainly in the last couple of games when he's got on, you feel confident when he's going out there. And his ability around, we know what a playmaker Furlong is, but Clarkson out there as well gets his hands on the ball. He's busy. He's working in and around there. And then on the bench, you've a 22-year-old. We're constantly talking about in Ireland who's next generation of props. So it's good to see. We know Cian Healy, he's still there, but how long will he last? And to have someone like Boyle, who's played 20s, we're watching the 20s, he's played 3 years ago in 2022, he's now taken that step up. I think he's 10 caps with Leinster, but he must be doing something in camp. He must be impressing, and especially at scrum time, to be put in a game like this, I think it's really good for Irish rugby to have that.
Yeah, well, that'll be an area to watch with interest tomorrow. Wales are 25-1 in a 2-horse race. It's unfathomable, really. It's kind of a curious one for the Irish coaching ticket in that they don't have endless hours of Wales under Matt Sherratt to analyse. So Sheehan there said, we'll just focus on ourselves. Will they have a little look at what Cardiff do? Will they just say, listen, we can't really worry about it, so let's just genuinely not bother too much focusing on the opposition? What's your sense?
Yeah, I think that's smart from Sheehan to say that, look, we're going to focus on ourselves, be the best version of ourselves. But look, this is a very smart Irish coaching ticket. They'll have had a look at Cardiff and how they play and what changes he expects.
And how do Cardiff play under Sherratt? What kind of clue might that give us to tomorrow?
I think with Thomas Williams there, they'll get their 9 running. That's a key part of what Matt Sherratt brings in. And then the other big one is they try and trap backs on one side, and then it's like a foot race to the long side to try and outrun the opposition. And the idea with that is they want to have Welsh backs running back against Irish forwards. So the Irish backs are going to have to work really hard on getting their split in defence. And then the other thing I think they'll bring in is just the short tipping game. Cardiff do it really well. They move the point of contact in tight attritional areas. And it's not something that we've seen from Wales so far in the competition. They've been very much a blunt force attack. So a few small tweaks, which will be helped by the personnel that have come in. I think Anscombe's going to make a big difference, having a tried and tested 10 who's going to play the ball in the right areas. And then they can look to do the fancier stuff that Matt Sherratt's going to be bringing in, tipping the ball, moving the point of contact.
Yeah. And so he only has about 4 or 5 days in the training ground to implement all of this. Is that even possible?
It is possible, but it is really difficult. He will have to have come into the week and gone, what is going to have the biggest impact here? Picked 2 or 3 things and just focused on them for the week. We won't really see the true impact that he's had until probably rounds 4 and 5. And I think he probably would have liked an easier opposition than Ireland this week.
Yeah. I suppose the thing they'll possibly have, Fiona, in their favour is a bit of a clean slate, new voice, those 14 defeats, that's a previous era, and there'll be just an emotion to Cardiff. So if they get the first score, maybe a yellow card, it's that kind of occasion they're banking on. If Ireland come out and start fast, then I think 25-1 will look about right.
Yeah. 100%, and I think it's about getting the crowd involved. Cardiff having the crowd behind them, that Principality Stadium is something unbelievable when that crowd have roared, and they haven't had great rugby games, so it's a clean slate. It's against Ireland, the champions, and also I think in other areas discipline as well, Joe. You've got Christoph Ridley in there. They've given away the most penalties out of all teams in the Six Nations. So if they can get that area and get a couple of rubs of the green, as we'd say early on, they'll certainly give a game in that opening 40 anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting that the word seems to be a lot of tickets which usually are being sold to Welsh fans are resurfacing over here for sale. So I'm not sure how much the Welsh public are willing to pay 140 quid sterling to go and watch defeat 15 in a row. So be curious to see the atmosphere tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, it is a big issue. And for such a proud rugby nation, I really hope we get to see a good contest, even if it's for the first 40 or 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think Ireland's fitness and our fight for every inch mentality is going to wear Wales down. And I'd be very confident that we'll pull away in the final quarter of the game. But I do think we'll see a bounce from this Welsh team.
Yeah, OK. I presume you're much the same?
Yeah, I do. And I think Ireland have been calm and composed in how they've played, even when they're under pressure from England. It's almost like a different team than we saw in November. So I feel like they have that ability to take the pressure and then come out. And another huge impact, Joe, is the bench. The bench has been coming on every game and making an impact. So I think you're right, Ian, when it gets to that, Ireland should take off and get a couple more tries.